This is Amateur Logic, episode 132 for July 15th, 2019. This episode of Amateur Logic is brought to you by MFJ, the world leaders in ham radio accessories at mfjenterprises.com, and by ICOM. Make the most out of contest season with the new ICOM transceiver that's best suited for your lifestyle. Good evening and welcome to another exciting, action-packed adventure of Amateur Logic.
Action-packed is the right word for it.
It is. Woo-hoo. This is our annual field day episode, and this year we got to go out to the woods.
Yeah,
finally.
Spoiler alert, we didn't get rained out this time.
No, we didn't. We didn't. So that was amazing. And Emile, you did field day yourself down there, didn't you?
We did. We did it at the Clubhouse, and of course it was mega hot and nice and humid for the event, and you'll see some of that in my segment.
Nice and humid. That sounds perfect.
No doubt.
Yep. So
sarcasm alert there too.
What's been going on since the last time we were here? I know this isn't a planned part of, not that anything is planned.
Yeah, I don't find that on the script.
Yeah. Anything interesting?
Not really a whole lot. I had a few days of vacation, so we went out of town. That's what I love to do as soon as I get off work, is to go out of town.
No, you do. Since you just get to town, you can escape immediately.
Leave, yeah.
Yeah.
But we had a good time. We went canoeing, kind of unplugged from most of the technology. Not much cell phone service out there and everything, so it was a nice break.
Yeah. Emile?
Well, down here it's been nothing but work for me. So I don't have tales from the data center or anything, but it's been besides field day in radio goes, that's where all my time's been going for sure.
Yeah, that's a 4-letter word, man.
Yeah, I gotta say mine's been the same way. I've had a lot going on at work, and at work.
That word,
yeah,
man.
Yeah.
You shouldn't use that kind of language on here.
Yeah, I know, man.
It's a family show.
But I am planning a little trip next weekend. I am going to turn my mobile and point it south.
Going south of the border?
The Mississippi border.
Yeah, I-10?
Yeah. Yep. Below I-10. Down in
You wouldn't happen to be talking about the W5SLA Hamfest by any chance, would you?
As a coincidence here, that's exactly what I'm talking about.
Oh. So, yeah, that's one of the other things that are going on down here. The W5SLA Hamfest is coming up, along with the symposium for some interesting forums and good old times with the hams in the area here. So, yeah, that's coming up.
Yeah. That is Saturday, July the 20th at 8 a.m. to 2:30 p.m.
Yep. That's the actual Hamfest, and then the W9 DYV Amateur Radio Symposium is on the 19th and 20th at the La Quinta.
I will be going there as well.
Oh, awesome.
Awesome.
And Bob Heil will be there, and Don Wilbanks will be there. And we'll all be at the Hamfest on Saturday.
And the place will never be the same again.
Sounds like a fun time to me.
Yeah, me too. So I'm expecting when I get there now that I will be able to find some good jambalaya somewhere in Slidell.
Yeah, I'm thinking that there probably won't be a problem finding that here.
Okay. Because you can find it here, but it's just not like the Louisiana.
You can probably get you some boudin, too.
No doubt.
Yeah. I don't know that I have a license to hunt those.
Got to watch out for the drop boudins.
Well, Field day, you know, that was a few weeks ago. And, well, actually, right after we shot the last episode.
Mm-hmm.
So we've had time to kind of go back and look through some of the footage here and pick out a few highlights and things that we enjoyed. And I got to say, it was a fun year at Field Day for me.
Oh, yeah, it was a great time. It's been long enough back that the triggers are gone, so
Yeah.
we got rid of those, so that's a good thing.
Yeah. Oh, and by the way, whenever we're doing a show live, you can catch it in the chat room at AmateurLogic.TV/chat. That's where all our rowdy friends are, hanging out while we're shooting live.
Yeah. It's, if you're, like I say, if you're watching the live stream, you're not in there, you're only getting half the fun.
And as I always say, which half? That's
up to you
that's
to
the
find
thing.
out.
Yep.
Speaking of rowdy chat room participants, Glenn is reminding me that jambalaya and red beans are both on the Hamfest menu, so
Okay.
you got it.
Oh, man, that sounds like...
I hope it's as good as the jambalaya that they had over in Lafayette, man.
I'm sure it'll be good.
Ooh, that's a tough one to beat over there, man.
Man, I didn't know I liked it so much until I ate that.
Oh, that's good stuff. My mother-in-law used to live down in Walker, Louisiana, and she learned how to cook some of that. So she used to make a really good jambalaya.
Yep.
Well, looking forward to it, Emile. So roll out the red carpet. I'll be
All right.
rolling in Thursday night and looking forward to it.
Awesome.
You know, for 2 years, we weren't able to go to the woods to do field day. Now, just for you who aren't hams, most people don't go to the woods to do field day.
Yeah,
That's-
almost. Actually, I don't know of anybody else that does it like that.
I'm sure there's somebody, but they don't.
I don't know of them.
I don't know of them either. But we've been doing this for a few years. The past 2 years, though, we got rained out and we couldn't. But this year we were able to return to going out in the woods and pitching a tent and having a good time with field day. And we got a different site. It was a little different. It's not
but better.
better,
was
definitely better. We had before where we were was kind of low. We didn't really have good cell phone coverage down there. Your phone would not work half the time. We had 3 bars at this new site. It was a good bit higher than the other one, and I think we had more bars on the radios too. So.
Oh yeah, it was good. We had some good contacts. Bands were in good shape.
Yep. And
I hear a joke coming here, George.
oh,
Three hams walk into 3 bars.
yeah, oh, yeah, yeah.
There's some potential there.
Well, let's look at the tent pitching here. Well, here we are at the field day site, and what do you think, Wayne?
It's a sight.
It's a site. It looks better than I was hoping it would look, or better than I was thinking it would look after that rain, but
Hopefully we'll be able to do good.
yeah, got room for, well, the tent right here where it's been graded off. And on the other side, room to set up some antennas.
And most importantly, the canopy.
Yeah, more room over there. Room over here for an 80-meter off center fed dipole. And my brother brought his tractor in here and did some clipping, so yeah, grass is not quite as tall as it was. Okay, we got to get this tent pitched before dark. And we've done a little more now. We've got the tent up and the canopy up, and we're taking a little break before we continue on and envelop the thing in visqueen. And here's our visqueen master right here.
Not hardly.
Not hardly. It was your idea, and it works.
And it works. Well, I'm hoping this is going to work too.
And what we're doing different this year is we've put plywood down here, just thin sheathing plywood, for a floor, and I'm going to tape those seams there. And it'll give us a little something more substantial to sit the chairs and tables and cots on. It's here. We've got a place to go in if the weather gets bad, but we don't have any air conditioning yet.
That's what we got to get done now.
Yep. So back to it. That was the site this year.
That was the hacienda.
Yeah.
Nice.
And that was about 380 feet was the elevation. 384 feet, I think.
Yeah. And it was like 3/4 of a mile down a graded dirt road.
Yep. In this part of the country, 380 feet, that's a little higher than average.
Yeah, it is. The only downside to that site, it was a great site, but if we'd have got caught with a rainstorm, we may still be there.
Wayne and I had 4-wheel drives. You would still be there.
Well, my truck was still there. It would still be there. But.
Yeah. I had a tow strap, too. I would have pulled that big old Dodge out with my little Nissan.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. Well, Emile, tell us a little bit about what y'all did down there.
Well, W5SLA got together at the Clubhouse here in Slidell, which is known as the Emergency Communication Center. The club's been having forever, 1967, if I'm not mistaken, and we made it work and had lots of visitors this time, and we even had some youth get on the air, and you name it. We had a good old time.
We didn't have any utes at our place.
No utes at all.
But we had a visiting ute, so we worked out. We got more points than we expected.
Awesome.
Cool.
That's great. I didn't see any visqueen.
I didn't see any visqueen either. I guess if you got concrete walls, so you don't need visqueen, huh?
Yeah, no visqueen this year, and it was hot enough. We had some fun getting some wire into that tree, though, in the video you saw, and it looks like me and you had some similar ideas with some SDRs there, George.
It does. We'll have a little more about how I used it there. Did you have it connected to a rig?
No. It was on its own antennas and pieces parts, and I was using it pretty much to see what was going on up and down the entire band. Just view the whole thing so that I could see.
I used it for that as well. Plus a little
no spoilers.
Shoot, yeah. So well, it was. It looks like y'all had a great time down there, and you didn't have to set the tent up. Although It looked hot anyway.
It was hot. Yeah, you saw from a few of those shirt shots after we were outside for a while doing other things that, yeah, holy moly, that would drag you down for sure.
Yeah.
Well, you had AC in the building?
We did, yes.
Oh, that's a foul right there.
You lose points on that, don't you?
Yeah.
Well, that's why we're lucky we get to operate as a 3 Foxtrot, right? The Emergency Communication Center, EOC type. So,
yeah. Wow. Well, the video I showed you a moment ago was from Friday evening. Wayne and I arrived. We were a little later getting there than normal, so it got dark before we really got everything done. We did get the tents set up and got all of that done, but didn't really get any radio set up to speak of. So we picked up with that. Well, I woke up early on Saturday morning, and this is the state of things at that point. Well, 7 o'clock on Saturday morning. This is as far as my station is right now. I have a laptop, have some stuff on the table, and there's my only radio that's set up right now. It's ID 51. I'm listening to commercial FM with the SDR play over here. And you can hear we've got a little QRM over here on the other side of the tent. So this is where most of the field activity will probably take place, inside the main tent. This is a 9x9 canopy with this screen walls. The required air conditioner, which ran okay all night. And it attaches to the front of the tent over there. We do get the occasional horsefly come through. We have a sophisticated door mechanism. Picking up the generator pretty good too. So this is a look at the site this morning. Got the sun coming up over there. Got an area here that'll be good for setting up one antenna. There is my generator, right up there. We ran it last night till about bedtime, and then we switched because that one was out of the tractor. And now we're running on Wayne's over here. While it's not quiet, it's much quieter than mine. And here is a look at the tents themselves. I don't know how blurry this is. Is this just my monitor? The sun hadn't been up very long when I shot that, so it was still nice and cool in there. I stepped outside in that heat, man, and well, you see what happened. That was the dream sequence right there.
Yeah, that's what it looked like.
Yeah.
And we thought it was a special effect video.
There you go. That was an analog one too, Emile.
Nice.
Yeah. You don't get that every day.
I don't see that in Vegas.
Well, of course, as I showed you, a few sites maybe to set up some antennas, but we didn't have any at that point. I did have my MFJ receiving loop, which I can't reach, but it's over there in storage right now. We've shown it before. It's a little bigger, but anyway, it's a receiving loop.
Like a hula hoop.
About like a hula hoop. And I had that hooked up to the SDR play, and Wayne and I kind of spun the dial on shortwave Friday night. We listened to WTWW. We listened to WRMI and WBCQ, and all those play music at night now. Mm-hmm. So I don't know if they do it every night. WTWW does pretty much, but
I listen to it sometimes.
so it's interesting to to finally see some rock music returning to shortwave radio, and so that was the only radio fun we had on Friday night.
Yeah, so the AC looked like it was, well, the AC did help some at night. It just didn't help a whole lot in the daytime.
Not on our side of the tent,
No.
because, well, you see,
It didn't help in there in the Visqueen either in the daytime, because it wasn't really but about a degree cooler in there than it was in the outside.
Yeah, I don't know if we need a bigger unit or
Some better
what.
Visqueen.
Yeah, insulated Visqueen.
Yeah, that'd be nice.
That would probably have helped. An insulated tent too.
That was your RSP, right? You were listening to the FM on?
Yeah, I have RSP Duo.
Yeah, so I tell you what, that's pretty good fidelity if you put it on stereo and some of those filters they have in that thing.
Yeah. Oh yeah, it's an amazing little receiver. Well, I'll talk more about it a little later, but for the price, yeah, I don't think you can go wrong with one of those. But we did get to setting some antennas up on Saturday morning, though, and that's always a real fun experiment.
Oh, yeah, that's a good word for it. It's a nice word for it.
So let's take a look at some antenna. We've got the MFJ lightweight fiberglass mast sitting right here on an old TV tripod. I've used this before in the past to do verticals. It's about the weight of a fishing reel, but it's 43 feet tall. So it's a real good antenna. And that's the cap that's on the top there, and you can see I've just got a vertical strung up there, and I can tap it down from 20 meters all the way on up. And I've got radials laid out here on the ground for each of the bands. So this is, right now it's working really good on 20 meters. Of course, field day hasn't officially begun yet, so I haven't made any contacts. But that's antenna number one. And we're working on the others now. Well, it's about 10:42 on Saturday morning. Tommy stopped to do a little tree fishing here. Hey,
KG5RE.
you caught a KG5RE, okay. It's a big one too.
Ready? Bring her on.
This is where it gets interesting. I can't see it now. There it is. If he can get over that limb, this is going to be much easier than it's been in years past. You got it?
Sure.
Look there. Right there.
That's a keeper right there.
Tommy and Wayne are working on putting up an 80-meter off-center fed dipole. I can see they've got one end up here. It looks like he got pretty good height up in that tree, so we'll probably get this thing 50 or 60 feet off the ground, it's looking like. Coming down the road over here, it's a log truck. They're cutting logs back down in there. So that's why we got a decent road this time around. They have been working on the road. In the meantime, where did Wayne and Tommy go? They're going to the other end here. got something up. Not sure if it's where they want it or not. Must be because Wayne's walking to the other end to tie some of the trot line to it. Oh, he's trying to find the weight. That's always a challenge. Well, Tommy and Wayne finished up that job they were working on just a few minutes ago. And Tommy told me they obviously did something wrong because both lines were shot up there. They got on the right limb on the first try. But as I understand it, there's another fishing expedition going on. What is it, Wayne?
When I tried to pull the other end up, I didn't tie this end off.
Oh! Yep, that'll do it. So Tommy did such a good job fishing a while ago. He's back on it.
I was. So we're gonna have to get the launcher back out and relaunch.
Yep, probably so.
I told you.
It was nice while it lasted. I was feeling real good about what we did.
Oh yeah, I mean, y'all had it in a great place.
We were the men right there
Yeah,
for a while. It was fun while it lasted, Wayne.
well, you know.
We got it unhooked and it flipped off the boat.
So what I've been working on over here while they were doing that is we've got an antenna that needs some assembly, like a beam, X-beam, or in particular this cobweb antenna right here. This is the way you do it. You set up a little tripod or a little post on the ground so that you can walk right up to it and work on it, and you don't have to be working overhead. It makes it much, much easier. This is the MFJ cobweb. This is the original one. It's not the 40-meter version. This is 20 meters is the lowest band it covers. But it's a good antenna. We've used it in the past field days. I always thought it did well. So we're going to fly it again. And I had managed to make a couple of mods to it right up under the mount here. I took all the hardware out and replaced it with stainless steel, and I put wing nuts on the arms here so that when we take it down, because I don't use this during the year, we can fold all those arms up, tie the wires up, and it makes one little neat package and folds out really quick to go back up again. It wasn't necessarily intended to be that way, but it works out that way for me. So now we've got to erect this, but I'll let them finish their fishing expedition first.
They got a good feel of what the field day site actually looked like from all that.
Yeah, that showed it pretty well. One side we haven't looked at yet.
Yeah.
But we will see it a little later
But
in here.
it was pretty clean. Thanks to your brother for going out and cleaning it off for us.
And I gave him a place in the credits for the tractor work, yeah.
Oh, perfect.
Because
I'm sure he appreciates that.
he went out there and he kind of helped us. Wayne went out and I went out there. I don't remember what night it was. Maybe it was Tuesday evening we went out there before dark and got my brother to come up there, and we kind of scraped some dirt around and kind of leveled it up, and that's why the dirt looked fresh there. It was.
It was almost like powder.
Yeah, well, yeah, pretty much. And then he came out there, my brother did, a day or so later, and clipped that grass down out there. So it was really a good site. I hope we can get there next year if the road is still in good shape.
Up.
Yeah, because it's just a dirt road that leads. You remember the church we did field day out a few years ago? The old Schrock Church. Well, that's where we were, was kind of back behind it. There's just a little.
Actually, we're literally right behind it.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. There's a little road that's just a pasture road, more or less, but it's through the woods, and there's no gravel on it. It's just been bulldozed out. Whenever they cut trees back there, they'll bring a bulldozer in and just kind of scrape it out. And if it rains, they just scrape the mud out of the way and push it off to the side. So it was a good level, flat road this year.
Yeah, the front of it was kind of weird, though, because the way that dirt was where your brother scraped it, it was powdery. There was a few of those holes that were like somebody took a bunch of baby powder and filled those holes up with them, because when you went through them, it just basically went everywhere.
Yeah.
That's the ones I was talking about. If it would have rained, that stuff would have just turned into like...
Yeah. Oh, yeah. It'd have been tough. Now, it did rain a little bit a day or so before field day, after we had scraped that off at the site, and that helped pack it a little bit. You should have seen it before that. It was like baby powder. Anyway, we've got a lot more to go yet, but first we need to take a little break here and get a message from MFJ.
Hi, I'm Howard, W6HN. I'm excited to tell you all about the new MFJ1234 RigPi station server. Let's get started. A long time ago, when digital computers were first invented, it took specially designed rooms and conditioning filled with racks of equipment, hundreds of vacuum tubes, and elaborate consoles to do simple arithmetic. Up until the early 70s, the thought of having a computer in your shack was nothing more than a dream. Since then, the size and cost of computers has come down to the point where computers are an important asset in any well-designed shack. The behemoths of yesterday are no longer. This is the RigPi station server. It is a small, economical, Raspberry Pi-based computer system that controls your station and handles on-the-air activities. What can RigPi do? Using a browser on just about any device, RigPi provides radio and rotor control, CW King, VoIP for two-way audio, logging, DX spot monitoring, and a fact-filled web view showing details about other stations. Using the RigPi desktop, you can operate digital modes using popular programs, plus you can upload your log files to the ARRL logbook of the world. Finally, it can replace a desktop computer with a browser, email client, word processing, and spreadsheet programs. RigPi is great for use in your shack, but for remote ops, it really shines. RigPi is well suited for Apple and Android devices, including mobile phones, tablets, iPads, and more. Work DX while on the road or from a cruise ship. Let's listen in on Tom, W5KUB, as he works Walter, KI4V, in Tennessee from a cruise ship somewhere in the Caribbean.
That is light years better. All the background noise is gone. It's just clear audio. It's crazy how good this sounds. It sounds like you're just here in the shack with me.
Here is Walter, KI4V, previously NR3E, working HK3C in Colombia.
We are trying out, we're beta testing a RigPi remote unit. I'm actually on an iPhone remotely connected to a friend's TS570.
Well, very good. Very good, thank you, and congratulations on the remote setup. It's sounding nice.
Guess what UPS dropped off here this week? Well,
A RigPi.
yep.
That is a coincidence.
I found this when I got home Thursday night, so I haven't had a chance to use it yet.
Yeah.
I'm going to work on it this weekend and get my cables together and hook this little jewel up, because this is really sweet, man. You'll be able to take this right here, hook it to your rig with a few cables, and then take your your cell phone, Android or iOS, or your laptop. Connect back to your whatever rig you've got. This just about every rig is supported with this that does CAT.
Mm-hmm.
And there's your station right there on your
From
phone.
anywhere.
And this is the only box you gotta have. You don't have to have a box at both ends. Nothing special, just this little RigPi here. And this is an open source project from Howard Nurse, who we just saw there in that video. And MFJ has constructed the devices here, and they're selling them a couple of different ways. Of course, they all come with a Raspberry Pi 3B Plus in them. That will probably be changing to a 4 later, because I suspect there's going to have to be a little development work done before it's really ready for the 4. I don't know that, though. And it's got the audio board and interface in here, and there's also a CW keyer board in here as well. And I think it's an option. You don't have to get the keyer board if you don't want it.
Oh, okay.
And I don't know. I haven't looked at all the configurations of it yet, but just one little device here. Add your power supply and your cables to it, and boy, you're on the air from wherever you are.
Yeah, there's a lot of interest in that thing. I've been interested since we interviewed him at MFJ Day. Anniversary. What was it, 45th anniversary?
Yep, that was a couple of years ago. I think.
But yeah, I'm glad to see it out. I can't wait to see what you do with it.
Yep, me too. I can't wait to see what I do with it. It's going to be fun. Well, that wasn't...
Hey, real quick.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe next year, depending on how hot it is, we should deploy the rigs and the tents with the RigPi and go back home and operate.
I like the way you think.
That is an idea, because we do have internet access on that hill.
I like the way you think.
Yep. That's a good... That bears some consideration there.
I'm thinking you're management material, man.
Yep.
Yes, sir.
Well, we didn't get all the antennas set up a while ago. We just looked at the little bit of the primary
just getting
stuff.
started.
Yeah. So we've got a little more antenna video here to go. Just a little update on where things stand. About 4:30 on Saturday afternoon. We're working the bands. I've retapped this vertical. I'm on 15 meters now. So it's not very tall at all, but has been pretty fair. It worked a little CW on there as well, thanks to FL Digi. And not sure 15 meters how much longer that band's going to be around this afternoon. It does seem that it's in and out and not a lot of activity. Everything I'm hearing is in Florida currently. That could change though. There's another antenna I didn't show you earlier. This is going to get noisy as I go by the generator, which by the way we have changed to Tommy's. It's not nearly as noisy as my old Coleman though. There is Wayne's antenna strung through the trees here. You might see the trot line going up. And then we come on out. There you can see the antenna leaving the tree. And there's his balun and the feed line dropping down. And it goes all the way over to that pine tree way back there. So he got a pretty good height here, so I think it's working pretty well. Look, there's a guy just came out for air from the tent. Yes, although we've got air conditioning, it is pretty hot in there. And you can see we're using these little towels around the neck to really help.
Well, I got my air conditioner towel here.
That's your portable unit?
Yes, my portable unit. It actually helps a pretty good bit. It's one of those cooling towels. I think you got one similar to it.
Yeah.
About due to go get mine in some more water, but after it starts to warm up, as long as it's wet, if you pop it like that a few times, it sort of activates it again. It doesn't get really cold, but you can feel it drop a few degrees. And right now, we'll take all less degrees, or any degrees we can get rid of.
Yep. We'll get rid of any degrees we can.
That's right. That's what I said. Something like that.
Yeah, those things really make a difference. The first year you had one of those out here, I was thinking, man, that's nothing but a sweat rag around your neck.
No, it's huge. It really helps a lot.
Yeah. I mean, it's not like polar bear cold, but it definitely helps some.
It helps. You can feel the coolness. I'm pretty sure it drops your temperature a little bit. But I almost forgot to bring mine. I'm glad I remembered to go back and get it.
Yeah. I'm glad you did too, because I wouldn't want to have to fight you for mine.
You were looking cool there. They had a few comments in the chat room saying you were standing there like Superman, with your hands on your... You had your cape and your towel.
Yeah. He was ready, man. He wasn't panicking at all. Well, what have we got next? Oh, well, there's another antenna. We set up... How many antennas did we have? We had the 80-meter off-center fed dipole. We had that vertical. We had
the
cobweb, which we hadn't looked at yet.
And we had the
octopus.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. How could I forget that? That's what we had for.
And you and I had a big time setting up the octopus antenna here.
Yeah, we did.
It was it went up a little easier than say that hex beam did last year.
Everything went easier than that. That's from back in the olden days when people used to live in tents with visqueen on them.
Yep. Yeah.
Oh, I like that. You had the Tommy 2019 model rotator there. I saw it rotating as you were putting the elements in.
It's important because those antennas are just a little bit directional. Now, I couldn't get him to stand out there in the sun during field day and
rotate it.
Yeah, and rotate it for me.
Yeah, I'm actually the 1962 model though. I'm an old model. Right. It doesn't work well.
Yeah. So the octopus, it worked best on 20 meters. Yeah. That was the band that's what you would expect from a ham stick dipole type antenna. It's closer probably to 20 meters being.
Yeah, it wasn't bad, but it did do better there.
Oh yeah, 20 was actually pretty good on it.
Mm-hmm.
The other bands, they all worked, and if you need something quick and portable to set up, that is a good option.
Yeah, no doubt. It's really easy to put that thing up.
Yep. Okay, you got out and did a little tour. You got a new camera. It's not your full-time camera, but a new toy, I would say.
Oh, yeah.
What it was?
Yeah, the little one with the little gimbal on it. Yeah, that's pretty cool. Yes. Anyway, this is just a tour of the site there. As you can tell, you can see the tent with the awning, some of the antennas. The tent, you may have noticed the tarp hanging over the tent. That was to keep some of the sun off, and it really made a difference in the temperature inside that tent. When the wind would blow and raise that thing up and the sun hit it, you could immediately feel the temperature go up.
Now that's, you can see the other side over there that we hadn't shown before.
Yeah.
Well, you could for a second.
Yeah, that's the backyard.
Isn't that a thing of beauty there? Oops.
No.
That was from the mushrooms, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, no.
And that's the tripod where the cobweb antenna.
That's a 43-foot MFJ telescopic fiberglass mast.
And that baby was up there too.
Yep.
Yeah. Anyway, you can see we had a lot of room. We could have put some more antennas up.
Oh yeah, yeah.
We had what we needed. Actually had guess one extra one.
Yeah.
But,
And
we had a lot more room.
they're really the finest facilities that you could expect out in the woods.
The finest ones money could buy for what we paid for it.
True. Oh, I see you walking there with the little camera. And
Yeah,
so-
that's my little DJI Osmo Pocket.
Yeah.
It ended kind of abruptly, I guess.
Yeah,
But
So-
anyway, it was a good site.
it was very good site. Like I said, I hope we can go back and do that again.
Somebody was asking about if y'all had any tin cans strung out for warning of approaching zombies.
No zombies back in there, man.
Okay.
Yeah. There's not enough people that live back in that part of the county that zombies would be a
Could
big
get
problem.
Infected.
Yeah, right, yeah. Well, of course, we were there for field day, so we had to have some stations as well.
That's always good to have for field day.
Yep. And mine, it's a little extended video. We've chopped it into two pieces here. Let's look at the first part because it was a lot to talk about. So I had a fun time. This setup worked well. I
Yeah, it
thought
was
for me.
good. Well, Wayne's setup and mine are pretty much the same as before, but George's is a little bit unique this time. Tell us a little what's different going on over here, George.
Well, it is a little different. Now, the rig is the same one I've been using. It's my IC 7000. I really like this rig. It performs great. It always sounds good, has good DSP noise reduction and filtering in it. It has a band scope function, but it is not real time. And that makes, that's one of those things, once you've used a band scope, you'll never go back. I would like to have a nice IC 7300 or a 7610 out here, but I don't have those. So what I've got is my IC 7000 and my own add-on band scope over here. Let's start on the right-hand side over here. You've probably seen me use this before. This is my homemade IC 7000 Voice Gear edition. It's got 6 push buttons across here where I can record in voice memories into here, like CQ Field Day and my call sign. I've got one for that, and I've got one labeled 3 Alpha here. I hit that and it's going to transmit 3 Alpha Mississippi, and then I hit this one and it's going to transmit 7-3. So I could talk to you on field day and never talk to you, but I don't do that. I usually talk. These are convenient though. If you're going to sit there and run a frequency, it's a lot easier just to hit this button for it to say CQ Field Day. This is W5JDX, and you don't wear your voice out as quick. On the side, I've got a couple of things here. I have an XLR connector. I can plug in an external microphone, and I have a 1/4 inch jack here. I can plug in a push-to-talk switch, or this red one here is also a push-to-talk, and my microphone plugs in the rear of the box here. because the box itself plugs into the microphone jack on the rig. So that's been a convenient feature, particularly if you're going to sit there and run a frequency and call CQ yourself. Over to the right, a couple of more things. I have a Wi-Fi hotspot, which is currently not on, but we actually have internet at this site this year since we're on a hill. That has been a big boon to our field day adventures. Before, we were hit and miss on having anything at all, even a cell phone signal. Back here, I've got a couple other things. This is one of those MFJ DC volt amp meters, the MFJ 4422, that you can plug in series with your power pole connectors there and keep up with the battery voltage or your power supply voltage. Real convenient. Of course, I've got my IC51 50th anniversary edition, and I have a counterpoise mounted to it there, so I get a little better signal by having that wire for the ground drop below it there, and that has worked good up here on this hill as well. Then back here in the back, all my power, you probably can't see it, but I have an MFJ 4230 DMP power supply. It works great, and to distribute the power, I've got this MFJ 1129 deluxe power outlets. It has a lot of different power pole jacks on it. It's got some banana plugs and terminal strips here where you can put wires up under it. Just a great way to distribute your DC voltage, and it's got a voltmeter in it. So that has been kind of convenient, an easy way to tie everything together. On the back of the 7000, I have my breakout box. This is a custom-made Altoids 10. I ate the Altoids and I didn't pay anything for the 10, so I think Emile will approve. This gives me an output to key an amplifier with, which I'm not using here. It also gives me a line in for a push-to-talk switch and input and output audio that I could use for working digital modes or connecting to a mixer or whatever. The only thing I've got connected is this amp key line, and I'll show you why in just a moment. There's another Altoids 10 in the setup here, and this is a peppermint flavor. The other was cinnamon. That's better to be used as a breakout box, but for curiously strong audio reception, I like the peppermint ones. And this is nothing more than just a double pole, double throw toggle switch mounted in there. I just needed some way to mount it. I've got one connector that plugs into the output of my laptop and another one that plugs into the output of the 7000. And I plug my headphones in the side here. Of course, that's a Howell Pro Set 3. And then I can flip this little switch here and I can listen either off the rig here or flip it the other way and I can listen off my SDR receiver. The SDR receiver, if you can see it, is an SDR Play RSP Duo. Now this is the newer version with 2 tuners in it. I only actually need 1 tuner, so that would suffice. But there wasn't too much more to get the dual tuner unit, and it had 14 bits, so I decided to go with that. And just as long as we're back here, it's my LDG Z100 auto tuner that I've had for years and years. Over to the computer, I have the SDR Uno software running. That's the software that goes with the SDR Play. Now, Tommy has showed this to you before. I'm looking at the 20 meter band right now. This is pretty much the whole band. I've tuned it in. I've got it on upper side band. Up here, I've got my my little spectrum display that I can take my mouse and I can adjust the passband either on the bottom end or on the top end and filter out adjacent signals. It's got all the controls that you would expect on a software-defined radio or most any radio. Good DSP noise reduction. I'm happy with what I'm seeing in there. And of course, it's got the band scope and the waterfall that makes it real easy to see how many signals there are and exactly where they are. Now you may ask, well, why do you have that receiver sitting over there? You got a receiver in here. The main reason I brought this is to give me the band scope function so that I can see the activity on the band and easily find frequencies that are being operated on. I've connected this software to the laptop over to the 7000. To do that, I've got an RS-232 to USB interface here plugged into my laptop. And in this DB9 shell, I have a little circuit with a couple of transistors, maybe a couple of resistors, maybe a diode. I'm not sure really what I put in there because I don't have the schematic with me, but I'll pull that out and show it to you. It's a level shifter more or less because the level of RS-232, the voltage levels, does not match the voltage level of a lot of CAT interfaces, particularly like the ICOM CAT interface here. You would have to have an ICV interface to go between your serial port and your rig. Well, that's basically what this is. I built my own because I needed it really quick. And that plugs in the data port on the back of the rig. That was about half of what we shot on my station there. We've got more to show.
Curiously strong audio, huh, George?
You like that?
Yes.
That was pretty good.
Now, the cinnamon is good too, but I prefer the pepperminty audio.
Well, I think you get the cheap, official cheap thing.
We've got more to go even yet, but we need to
wait, there's more?
There's more. Don't touch that dial. We'll be right back. Heard it, worked it, logged it. It's time to get the transceiver that's best suited for your lifestyle. ICOM offers a variety of high-performance and innovative products. Make the most out of contest season with one of these ICOMs today. IC7610, the SDR every ham wants. This high-performance SDR has the ability to pick out the faintest of signals, even in the presence of stronger adjacent signals. The ICOM IC7610 is a direct sampling, software-defined radio that will change the world's definition of a SDR transceiver. RF direct sampling, 110 RMDR, independent dual receivers, and dual digicell. Or get the IC7300. Changing the way entry-level HF is designed, this high-performance, innovative HF transceiver with a compact design will far exceed your expectations. RF direct sampling, 15 discrete bandpass filters, large 4.3-inch color touchscreen, real-time spectrum scope, and SD memory card slot. Find out more by visiting icomamerica.com/amateur for more information on all the great ICOM radios. Tommy, what did you use this year for your station?
Well, just so happened to have a video that shows you.
Well, how convenient.
Get
All
out.
right, well, I guess it's my turn to go over my station. It's mostly the same as before. I'm using my old Surface Pro 3. Still, the software was still installed on it. Just like the other guys, I'm using the N1MM Plus software, which has worked out pretty well. I'm pretty happy with that, the way it works and everything. I've got my 7100, IC7100 ICOM radio here again this year, and I've got it hooked up to the serial port on my computer, so the login software picks up the frequency and the mode and everything that I'm using, so when I log my contacts, all that stuff's done for me. I really like that feature. The radio, again, like it's 7100, been pretty happy with that. It's nice and compact, and it's real easy to transport out here. Underneath my grass cutting hat, that's my grass cutting hat. I'm gonna stick with that. I've got my tuner, my MFJ 939 tuner, and then I've got the chassis of the radio. Been real happy with that tuner. It hooks straight up to the back of my rig, and it knows that when it needs to tune itself, and it just does it automatically the way I've got it set in the radio. I changed power supplies this year. I've got the little 30 amp MFJ switching power supply, and I've been happy with that. It's a lot less to carry out here to transport to field day, so I was able to get this whole station, with the exception of the table, in one portable bag, which is very nice and convenient. Most importantly of all, I've got my bottle of water in my Bass Pro wetsuit for it. Keeps the water cold longer. It's a necessity. And then plenty of hand wipes around here. A couple of phones. And Wayne let me borrow his little computer fan he's got. If you're not careful with that thing, it'll cut your fingernails for you, but as long as you keep your hands out of it, it's a pretty nice thing to have. It moves a lot of air. It keeps the temperature a little bit more tolerable in here. That's pretty much it for me. I think we'll go over the antennas in a little while. Alright, well, I guess it's my turn to go over my station. It's mostly the same as before. I'm using my old Surface Pro 3. Still, the software was still installed on it. Just like the other guys, I'm using the N1MM Plus software, which has worked out pretty well. I'm pretty happy with that, the way it works and everything. I've got my 7100, IC7100 ICOM radio here again this year, and I've got it hooked up to the serial port on my computer, so the login software picks up the frequency and the mode and everything that I'm using, so when I log my contacts, all that stuff's done for me. I really like that feature. The radio, again, like it's 7100, been pretty happy with that. It's nice and compact, and it's real easy to transport out here. Underneath my grass cutting hat, that's my grass cutting hat. I'm gonna stick with that. I've got my tuner, my MFJ 939 tuner, and then I've got the chassis of the radio. Been real happy with that tuner. It hooks straight up to the back of my rig, and it knows that when it needs to tune itself, and it just does it automatically the way I've got it set in the radio. I changed power supplies this year. I've got the little 30 amp MFJ switching power supply, and I've been happy with that. It's a lot less to carry out here to transport to field day, so I was able to get this whole station, with the exception of the table, in one portable bag, which is very nice and convenient. Most importantly of all, I've got my bottle of water in my Bass Pro wetsuit for it. Keeps the water cold longer. It's a necessity. And then plenty of hand wipes around here. A couple of phones. And Wayne let me borrow his little computer fan he's got. If you're not careful with that thing, it'll cut your fingernails for you, but as long as you keep your hands out of it, it's a pretty nice thing to have. It moves a lot of air. It keeps the temperature a little bit more tolerable in here. That's pretty much it for me.
So that was Tommy Station. You came in number 2 this year in our lineup of points there.
Yeah, it was a slugfest between me and Wayne.
Well, it was, and it was close. But you always managed to hold the number 2 spot down. You have not conceded ever. You've always maintained your position.
I don't want to be showing off, but I don't want to be the last either. So.
Yeah. Well, that's why I took the last position this year. Usually in the past, I've always come in first. You've come in second. Wayne's come in third. Well, this year, Wayne took the number 1 spot. First time ever.
Yeah, you know what I think that is, though? I think because he changed antennas this year.
The off-center fed 80 meter?
Well, last time he had that.
At the shack, yeah. Yeah, but I mean, even that when we were in the woods
used that
before.
at the church, too.
Yeah.
That, what do they call it, outpost thing that he built?
Yeah, but he also had an 80 meter off-center fed there.
Does that include or take into factor the multipliers? Like, was he doing digital versus voice?
No.
Okay.
No, we didn't count the multipliers in our intent scoring system there.
Okay.
Just how many contacts you made. I did some CW ones, so I would have, I might have done better. But anyway, I was glad to see that Tommy and Wayne took the lead this year. It's hard, dropping from first place to last. I'll have to say, but I was proud for Wayne to see him take the lead there. He did.
Got competition now.
He racked them up this year. I don't remember exactly how many we had contacts.
We're never gonna win an award for it, but it's fun.
Yeah.
Yep.
We have our own little internal competition thing going near the end, so.
And we made about the same number of contacts that we usually make.
Yeah, roughly. But it was a good time. That's the main thing. It was a good time. We got to use our gear.
Oh, yeah.
We're ready for emergency situations should one arise.
Yep. So what did Wayne take the prize with this year, his station?
Let's look.
We've done actually better than I thought we were going to do. I think showing here we've got 160 contacts so far between the three of us. And I think last year we had 201 when we were running out of Georgia's shack. So I'm pleasantly surprised. We might possibly make 175 before the hour's up. Got the 80 meter off center fed dipole up this year, which we haven't had in a while. So that's it's kind of helped a little bit. My station so far, I've been running the same thing I've run for the last several years. I've got my Yaesu FT897, running my LDG Z100 tuner. I got my dial with 30 amp switching power supply back there, 12 volt battery backup and cell phone charger. My HP laptop, and we're running the N1MM logger. So far it's been doing pretty good. I can't complain. Got the air conditioner over here inside the Bisqueen. It's helped, but it has not been as good as it was the first year that we did this.
And let me say, I paused the video there just so we could point it out. I see the secret to his success right now.
Sitting in front of
the AC. That is bound to giving him an advantage there. But,
absolutely.
Let's see the rest of it here.
By any stretch of the imagination, because it's hot. It's very hot. I think we're probably getting close to about 95 right now. And the humidity's up, but I mean, it's helping, but it ain't near as good as it was the first year we did this, so I don't know. We're going to have to reconfigure something somewhere. But overall, not too bad. Not too bad at all.
Yeah, there should be some kind of multiplier for BTUs there as well.
Should.
All contacts made next to an air conditioner.
Yep. Those ought to draw a little lower score, Anyway.
There should be a multiplier based on the operating temperature.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking, yeah.
He might have offset that because he's using the FT897D, right?
Well, yeah.
Just operating those menu systems as points.
Yeah, that's like going, that's pretty tough.
That's not for just anybody.
Yeah.
No, can't be squeamish with those menus.
Well, back to my video here. Mine was the longest because I was, I guess, doing the most complicated setup, and it was something different, something we haven't done before. So here's the second half of what I use for field day.
Oh, this is going to be good.
So what I've got now is If I tune the rig over here, you will notice the display. Change the frequency here on my VFO on the rig. It's tracking it over on the band scope on the SDR. And also, you'll notice if I click on a signal here on the band scope, it tunes the radio to that same frequency. So they're in sync with each other, which is just really convenient. So now I can use my mouse. I can go over here and find signals that I want to listen to and just click on them and I automatically tune my radio there, pick up the mic and start talking. There's a lot of other features to this software, but that's really the only thing I needed out of this is the ability to tune that radio. Now I did build this little switch so that I can choose whether I want to listen to the SDR or whether I want to listen to the 7000. And I have done that with my headphones here through field day, and I found out some signals I like better. It's easier to listen to coming out of the 7000 because the filtering works better for that particular set of circumstances that I'm dealing with at that moment with the signals that are there. On some other occasions, I have found that I like it better what's coming out of the SDR play here, and adjusting its filtering, I can get it a little bit better. But it's not 100% one way or the other. But the majority of the time, I'm just listening off the IC7000 here because when you key up and you let off your mic, the receiver, AGC, recovers a lot quicker in the 7000 than it does over in the SDR play. Now, there's another magic piece in here, and you might say, well, George, where would you get magic pieces for your setup from? Would you believe? MFJ. I have the MFJ 1708B SDR RF Sense receiver transceiver switch. This has been sort of like the magic bullet that makes all of this work. It's got 3 antenna jacks on it. It's also available with an SMA connector if you prefer that. I got the SO239s. I have one jack that I connect the antenna to. I have another jack that I connect to the transceiver, and then another one that connects to the SDR play or a second radio of any type. This thing will automatically sense, when you key up, it'll sense the RF on the transceiver line here, and it will automatically mute the receiver line so that you don't send 100 watts into your software-defined radio, which would just be a big bummer for everybody. It's got a 12-volt input and a couple of RCA connectors. It has an auxiliary one here, and right off the bat, I don't remember exactly what that did because I have not used it in my application. It also has a control jack, and I have that wire connected to it. And if you followed out that wire, you'd see the other ends connects to the amp key line over here. That's because why an RF sensing transmit receive switch is a good idea. A hardwired one is a better idea in my book, but I'm using both of them. So I'm relying on the rig when it keys up and sends the amplifier key up signal. It actually does the switch in the TR switch here so that I don't send RF to the receiver. And also I left the RF sense enabled as well, so if for some reason that circuit failed, the RF sense would still be there and catch it. And this has worked really good. I want to say this is a perfect accessory if you're going to be doing what I'm doing right here. You want to use a SDR receiver along with your normal transceiver. This is the best way I know of to connect it together, because it's not just a relay going between your transmitter and receiver. It is, but for the receive, there is an inductive splitter in there that splits the receive signal out so that you can feed the receive signal to both the transceiver and the SDR at the same time. So it's not like whenever you let off the push to talk button that you're only receiving here. You're receiving on both of them all the time that you're not transmitting. I really like that. That has been very convenient, has worked out great for me, and otherwise I would not have needed my little toggle switch. I don't know if needs the right word. You don't really need that, but it is a nice convenience. And let me just give you a little demo here of maybe what the two sound like. What I'm going to do here is demonstrate flipping back and forth between the two receivers, what they sound like. The easiest way for me to do that here, and you got the generator running in the background, so it's not necessarily the best way, but the easiest way is for me just to put the microphone on the headphones here and let you see what it sounds like. Right now it is switched to the IC7000.
How the Whiskey 5 station go? Kilo 5 Sierra. Kilo 5 Sierra. We are 3 Alpha, North Texas. 3 Alpha, Texas. Okay, do I have your call correct? Is it Kilo 5 Sierra? That is correct. 3-5 Sierra. Yes, please. Kilo 5 Sierra. QRM. 73. Okay, the Kilo 5 Sierra station, is that call correct? Over? Yes, sir, that is correct. Okay, thank you. You are 3 Alpha Wisconsin. 3 Alpha Wisconsin. QSL? So, 73. Whiskey 9, Victoria, Charlie.
You can choose which one of those positions sounds the best at any particular time and just listen to it. But it takes a little bit of time for this one to recover after you've used the push to talk, because this rig, it loses the antenna signal coming in, which is a good thing during transmit, but the software also mutes it, so when I key the rig up, it knows that it went into transmit, so it mutes it as well. And by this being a software-defined radio running on a computer, there's a slight processing delay, so the audio that you hear coming out of here is a little bit behind the audio you hear coming out of the radio. So that's another thing to keep in mind. If you're using a fast computer, not much of an issue. If you're using a slow computer, it's going to put a little more delay in there. But this is my field day setup as far as what's in the shack this year, and I'm loving it. I really like having a band scope or a pan adapter on my IC7000. Now, I didn't mention I'm running the N1MM logger software over here. All three of us are. And they automatically sync over the network so that everybody sees everybody else's contacts. I have some other software running on here. Now, incidentally, I do not have the frequency of the rig connected to N1MM, so it doesn't automatically update the frequency that I'm operating on. I have to manually do that myself. And I think it is possible to do that. I know it is standalone, but since I've already got a serial connection, a CAT connection, between the rig and the SDR, I didn't have time to get that working. There's a few pieces of software I had to add in here, and all of these are freeware. The number one thing I had to add is the COM0Com virtual serial port. Maybe you'd call it splitter. This allows you to create virtual serial ports on the machine so that you can have them talk to each other. And I created a pair on here and set them so that the software has its own serial port and the other serial port connects to the rig here. And that allows them to communicate. Now, the SDR Uno doesn't know that I've got an IC7000 connected. All it knows is we've got the CAT interface enabled on it. So for that, I'm using the free OmniRig software, which is an interface software that allows people to write programs on a computer that talk to virtually every rig that's out there. And I just ran OmniRig and told it I had an IC7000. So I am going to go back and shoot a few more fish in the barrel here. But I didn't shoot enough fish to come in number one.
No. I saw somebody said that you may spent more time fiddling with your kit, but that really wasn't the case. You just set it up at first and it just worked, didn't it?
It just worked.
You didn't have any trouble at all that I remember.
I tested it all out at home because I had just got that working, and like, I don't know, a couple of days before we went and did this. But it all worked, and I didn't really have to jiggle with anything or have any issues. It just worked. I think it's the antennas that everyone was using, and the bands. Well, all the bands were good this year.
Yeah, the bands were really in very good shape.
And that surprises me because everybody I noticed on social media was talking about how bad the bands were for field day this year. What do you think, Emile? How were the bands for y'all?
Yeah, we did most of our work, especially early on in the day on 20. 20 was awesome. I mean, I had one of those ham sticks on a mag mount on top of my truck tied to one of my radios, the 9100 on one of the antenna inputs. Oh, we were killing them on just that.
Yeah.
Yeah, that band was on fire.
Yeah, 20 was good, 40 was good, 15 was pretty good too.
It was.
And, you know, some years 15 is not much at all, but when it's good, it's pretty good. And
but we had good antennas.
We did. One of my big problems is the way I started out. You saw that vertical that I had. The first antenna we showed tonight, it was that sort of dark green colored vertical that went up. It's a MFJ telescopic lightweight mast, like a fishing pole almost. Really quick to deploy, and I just got bale wire, I made up my antennas with. And I got the radial segmented so that I can set it for 40 meters, 20 meters, 15 or 10, I believe is what I cut it for. And I thought I had set it for 20 meters. But it turns out I actually had all the links in for 40 meters. And I was trying to work the 20 meter band. And Wayne was over on 40 meters working. And even though I had a bandpass filter in line there, he was just tearing me up. Every time he transmitted on 40 meters, it was tearing me up on 20. Well, it was several hours before I realized that I was on a 20 meter antenna instead of a 40 meter antenna. Oh, excuse me, a 40 meter antenna instead of a 20.
Yeah, so you're perfectly resonant for all the
right. So anything Wayne was going to broadcast out, I was sitting there waiting on it, man. I was a perfect sync for it.
Yeah.
So anyway, I kind of got behind there at the start because of antenna malfunction. My tuner would tune it, but it was my fault for just, not realizing that I had it on the wrong band.
And that brings up something we didn't really mention when we showed the stations. We did use those filters again.
Yes.
So those things are really nice. They do help when you have multiple people there.
Yeah.
A lot. As long as you're not on the antenna that are resonant on what the other guys
right.
use.
Yeah, that's apparently put you at a big disadvantage. We got one final video tonight, and in the central time zone here, field day ends at 1 p.m.
Yep.
And of course, usually you'll hear the bands go silent at that point. Everybody will just shut down because you can't log any contacts after 1 p.m. Well, here's what happened this year. Well, it's 1 o'clock now. Let's see what happens. Looks like there are still a lot of Q-cells going on there. It should start dropping off pretty quick here.
maybe it's not 1 o'clock everywhere yet.
And they just kept on going, man. I don't see anybody letting up at all. I don't even look down there on the left-hand side. The CW portion is still just as busy. Sideband, they just kept going, man. People weren't ready to quit at 1 o'clock, I guess. Everybody backed off a little bit.
Sounds to me like somebody turned the air conditioner off.
Yeah, there's one turn the air conditioner off. You hear the work the inside.
Well, there's a few of them still going at it, so I'm going to leave them with it. We're going to top up.
It dwindled down a little bit, but
Yeah.
more. There were more that stayed on at 1 this year than in past years. I've watched that before, and they hung in there longer this year.
Yeah. I was expecting the majority of it to just go away, like almost immediately.
Well, it usually does,
Uh-huh.
but didn't happen there. Of course, I would not have known that had I not been using a pan adapter or a band scope with my rig.
That's right. It's visual.
It's a visual, great way to see the whole band at once. Worked out really well. Another thing I want to say here, that generator, that little video there, was with noise reduction turned on. That's the only video I use noise reduction on any of this. And you could still barely hear me over the generator. That was my generator. That was that old Coleman running.
You got a set of headers on yours, don't you?
Yeah. And I looked for mufflers earlier this week. The only one I can find calls it a quiet muffler. It's like $128.
Ooh, wow.
I'm not sure I want to invest that in that generator. And I read reviews on it, and some folks said they couldn't tell any difference when they put it on.
Oh, that would be disappointing for that kind of money.
Yep. So, Emile, tell me how you used your SDR play there.
Well, that was it in a nutshell. The whole, I guess you'll see this if you attend the forum that I'm going to be giving, but that's the whole drive for me towards those things is the visual aspect of them, whether it's viewing the entire band like you did, most of them are, 2 megs, right? Mm-hmm. But the other things you can do as far as going in, too. I had at one time some of our visitors asking me about it. So I spent some time and said, hey, look at this. I'm going to zoom into this one USB signal here, upper sideband on voice, and watch what we can do with filters. He had some artifacts in. I just took them out with that notch filter. And then, like you said, you can adjust that bandwidth on the audio screen at the top right, man. I think it's awesome just to see it. When you have the traditional radio interface with the knobs, the passband tuning and stuff, it's easy once you know what they do, technically, right? Mm-hmm. But when you can see it, it's just visual. Okay, now I know what to do. Move this out the way, put that over there. So that's the drive for me.
Yeah, that's nice. That's also a nice thing, like on the 7300s and the 7610s. You can see all that too.
Yep.
If you're fortunate enough to have one of those.
It's like I said, once you've operated with a band scope, it's really hard to go back. Mm-hmm. And fortunately, I don't have to go back now. I can use any of my rigs and and have a band scope with it. During the month, if you want to keep up with what's going on with the show and our friends, we do have friends.
We have a few.
A few.
What?
Yep. You can
I know I have 2.
You can go to one of these places right here, facebook.com/group/AmateurLogic.TV, or
actually we're on Twitter as well, at AmateurLogic and at Ham College.
And Emile, we've got a new group too, don't we?
We do. The groups.io, AmateurLogic, whatever you want to call it, email thingy.
That's groups.io/g/AmateurLogic.
Yeah. So if you were a Google Plus user, or if you don't use Facebook or Twitter and you want to get the notifications, go sign up there. And we email the same time we do the other postings. Mm-hmm. And you'll get an email notification so you can catch the live streams. Or there's some chat going on, amongst the group as well. So it's kind of fun. I was a little skeptical, like I said before, about setting it up. I didn't think many people would use it, but there's a pretty good little crowd. It's growing daily,
Yep.
and it's kind of fun.
Yeah, it's just another way that we can stay in contact with the community and find out what's going on and let folks know, when the next episode is going to be shot for those who want to watch live. Any final words, Emile?
Stay dry and 7.3.
I like both
Keep
of
it
those.
cheap.
Yep, good. That's good advice. All three of those are good bits of advice.
It's hard to go wrong with advice like that, isn't it?
It is.
All right. 7-3, everyone.
Oh, wait. Bring a towel.
Bring a towel, yes. Don't leave home without it.